Mm. A ver. Continuamos con Bastion.
We darn near celebrated when the kid got back, didn't we? Zolf never thought he'd see a fellow Ura again. We become fast friends. Calamity has that effect on people. But there was more to be done. There was one last core to find. Kid's surprised when I tell him there's only one core left. I shouldn't have believed it either. Most of the Ura never got a taste of Ceylondia's fine goods, unless they were born and raised in the city like Zia here. Sure, the world's all gone to pieces farther than the eye can see, but leave it to this gal to point out the amazing view. Girl tried to run away from home one time, but the marshals stopped that, didn't they? So many secrets in there and she can't even read it. Her father's own journal. If only I'd known half the secrets of the Calamity were tucked away in that book, I'd have worked to translate it right away. A scientific journal written in Zolf's native tongue. He learned so much from it. Too much. The memorial. Here a kid can pay respect to the old world and earn it in kind. The valediction. Just another one of my sketches. Nothing more. We track the final core beyond the city to the wilds. The wild unknown. Place can eat a man alive. Place is so raw, even the Calamity couldn't cook it. Not all of it. You know what's better than having a slinger pistol in a fight? Having two. Savage things lurking at every turn. Good thing pincushions can't see where they're shooting. Pecker's got the core, like they're building a bastion of their own. The welcoming committee scrambles to attention. Didn't expect the kid so soon.
Oh, miércoles.
They shouldn't have let their guard down. Getting that core was one thing. Getting out's gonna be another. He digs his way out of the clearing, but the wilds won't let him go without a fight. Wallflowers survived the Calamity. It toughened him up. Same goes for the kid. Let's take it real slow. Pincushions are afoot. Slinger Johnson's old outpost is all that's left of him. Kid sticks to his old standbys. A handful of windbag shipments made it out this far. Kid's seen the last of them. Don't ever turn your back on a pin cushion. How gives a wallflower a taste of its own medicine. Kid's roused up half the wilds by now. Kid gets the feeling he's being watched. Not by me, by a lunkhead. Lunkheads ain't fond of two-legged animals. Hit him anywhere but the hindquarters and you only make him mad. Sees a smooth black stone coughed up by the calamity. Be seeing plenty more. Kid learns the hard way not to touch those things. Hardly any signs of the old Jocelyn camp. The wild's already reclaimed this place. He's anxious to get back. After all, he's got the final core. His journey's over, right? Well, no, it ain't. Not by a long shot. Kid knows something's up when we ain't there to give a warm welcome. See, Zolf and I were just wrapping up a heated discussion. Zolf can barely muster the words. The calamity failed, he says, but I will not. And with that, Zolf leaves us here, alone. Zolf cursed the city, cursed the Bastion, cursed me, said he was going home. When Zolf got through reading that journal, he just snapped, started smashing up the monument till I tried to stop him. Zolf banged up the monument pretty bad. But there's a way to put her back together. The shards. We're gonna need all of them to nurse the Bastion back to health. You want to tune a scrap musket, you start with the barrel. Kid's lifelong friends looking fit to keep on fighting. The city brought the shards to the wilds. Now the kid's gonna bring them back. After Zolf's little episode, kid sets off in search of shards. First stop, Jawson Bog. You'll get lost in that bog, I told the kid, and I won't be able to guide you back. Well, I let him go. What else could I do? What could any of us do? Zolf put us in a real bind. Hurt the Bastion bad. But the shards can make it better. They're like smaller doses of the core's medicine. Shame the only place to fill that prescription is out here in the wilds. This place is intoxicating.
Qué riqui.
Don't know where he's gone. Might be gone for good for all I know. Wherever he is, it's somewhere I've never been. Somewhere I never want to go. There, welcome him with open arms. Kid pops him good. That a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a lonesome ghost of a gas fella. What do you say to a kid who's seen too much? I'm Zolf of Ura. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Now the kid sees something stranger still. Did anybody else survive? Sure enough, he finds peckers, lunkheads, wallflowers, pincushions, pineapples, swamp weeds, ankle gators. Send him even farther into the wild unknown. Kid sets foot inside one of Celandia's famous watering holes. Would you look at what he did to poor old Ronnie, the bartender? Proper story's supposed to start at the beginning. It's so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world's alright, snoozing there on a rock in the sky. He wakes up. I'm just fooling. He sees what's left of the rippling walls. Years of work undone in an instant. He sees what's left of Pith, the bull. The gods, they're all undone. He sees what's left of his lifelong friend. His friend, he's coming down too. He sees what's left undone. Thought we'd lost him, but he finally comes to. The shard ain't lost either. Not anymore. Now to find a ticket out of this hole. Disgusting things. Ever heard of a lung blossom? It's bigger than the stories say. Bootlickers dig their nasty thorns into his heels. The breath on that thing, like a scumbag sprung a leak.
Wait,
It ain't about to be plant food just yet.
Ni cuenta me he dado. Say one whiff of lung blossom can make you lose your mind. Well, the kid prunes it down to size somehow.
Mother only knows what happened in the bog. Kid never much cared to speak of it. A shard is like a poor man's core, but beggars can't be choosers. That's it. A few more shards like that, and we'll be back in business. A single shard can breathe new life into this place. The shard's got enough juice to spruce up any of these places. Finders keepers. I tried to let the kid down gently. This is the Bastion, all right. Except no one else showed up. The marshals learned to pack those shells full of fire. Dread rum's brewed from swamp weeds, so its effect is as bold as its flavor. Ever felt a Zolwood gourd, like picking up broken glass barehanded? At Zolwood Grove, marshals learn to make every shot count. The trick was to pop all those nasty gourds without wasting ammo. Most marshals didn't get far on their first few tries. Had to catch a bunch of those gourds in a single shot. The funny thing about muskets is they work best up close. It took a keen eye, not an itchy trigger finger. Marshals did more than just stand around shooting, of course. To master the musket, you gotta get rid of the recoil. The city tried to use the shards to stake out the wilds. So much for that plan. The city's unwanted things all met their end in the yard. Folks who fouled up would do their time here, smashing things to bits. The quicker they worked, the sooner they could go. Folks learned to plant their feet, put their backs into it. Others would plot a course to navigate that sea of junk. A good day's smashing could feed a family for a week. Kid pays another visit to the scrapyard for old time's sake. He worked too slow and all he got was a sore back. Some folks invested their earnings to forge even better hammers.
Oye, por un segundo. A ver otra vez.
Always plenty there for smashing.
Ya fue. Ya luego.
Ever want to just smash things for a while? You know where to go. Ain't never letting go of his old friend with a sturdy grip like that. A sail hammer's only as strong as its spine. That's a strong spine. Ankle gators used to roam the wilds, and they nested at Rothes Lagoon. Many a tale folks used to scare their children straight originated here. All kinds of beasts we don't know up from down, still lurking about. Only the city's brushers knew their way around the lagoon. These beasts, they don't like company. Even the brushers learned to fear this place. They used to think that ankle gators were extinct. Well, they ain't. One of them's been living in the tall grass. They called her Queen Anne. The lagoon's got plenty of other dangers, of course. Turns out Queen Anne got a hold of a shard, Ankle gators love shiny things. Know what smells worse than an ankle gator's breath? A stinkweed. Ain't time for pecker hunting, but the kid can't resist. Can't fight Queen Anne without the proper tools. The brushers use their pikes to keep their distance around here. Now the kid can do the same. Sharp sticks make Queen Anne nervous, so she backs off a bit. Those pink cushions been living off the ankle gator's scraps. Queen Anne can't fit down some of these narrow paths. Queenie leads the kid into some kind of twisted trap.
Oh, miércoles.
One bad step in that tall grass and he's Queen Anne's lunch. He holds his ground. Seems the Queen's running out of options. Still no sign of the shard. The closer you get to an ankle gator's lair, the thicker the tall grass grows. Kid's gotta make a run for it. Those leaping lunkheads don't like Queen Anne any better than the kid. That old gator's right on his tail. Queenie must have scared a bunch of peckers out of hiding. Seems even stinkweeds know to stay away from the Queen. Queen's got one mean bite. Can't get hasty in a place like this. Ankle gators don't much care for their young. That's why there ain't many around. Wanna know how to find an ankle gator lair? They use a kid as bait. The shard's sitting in plain view. Now she's coming for him. She's got nowhere else to go. They say if you run across an ankle gator, you better keep running. She's starting to get annoyed. And now he's made her mad. Rest in peace, Queen Anne. That was for the brushers. Kid's done what needed to be done. Queen Anne's reign is over. We even got a crown jewel. All that trouble for a single shard. But you know what? It was worth it. We need an awful big lost and found under the circumstances. That Gator's a crazy gal, but so is the gal who promised to look after her. They said Queen Anne was just a folktale. Now there's living proof she ain't. To fix a brusher's pike, you just need a good length of knife bark. It wasn't fixed, it was unbroken. The next shard should be farther out there in the wilds. To prepare for the wilds, Caelondia's brushers practice at Camp Donce. Had to navigate a maze of pincushions with nothing but a pike. It's a dangerous test for a dangerous job. Health tonics were off limits at Camp Donce. They said they made you weak. Rules said he couldn't use any fancy footwork, just your brains and your pike.
Oye, no me...
Just getting through the course in one piece was an accomplishment.
No, 20 segundos.
The Brushers were Celandia's field agents, and their training was harsh. You had to find a path through the maze as quick as you could. One well-placed throw could take out several of those ugly critters. You did all right at Camp Bouncy. You got to go to the wilds.
Vamos a intentar una vez más.
To prep for the course, the Brushers could modify their pikes however they wanted. There wasn't time to squash every pincushion, just the ones in the way. Once you started the course, they made you finish. You can see why the Brushers prize those pikes of theirs. Don't want that thing leaving your hands until you decide it's time. Know how Celandia became the richest city in the world? 2 words. Point Lemaine. If the wilds could ever be tamed, it was gonna happen right here. The Army's triggers once had the place on lockdown. Might as well pick up where they left off. Blam! Just like my fighting days. Gun like that can even put the wilds in check. better days for sure, but it ain't done. Whole place shudders in a fit. The Grand Rail of Point Lemaine. Not only is it still there, it still works. Of course, it's no longer shipping hides and alloys and spices, but it can give the kid a lift. Just as long as he can stay clear of the trouble on the tracks. Grand Rail's all grown over with things a calamity chewed up and spat out. Things eager to take back their turf. Kid don't let so much as one of those things slip by. Settled in like they own the place. Takes fancy footwork on the rail, what with wallflowers, coughing fungus everywhere. The place used to be closed off, but now it's split open like a rotten pineapple. Of course, the Grand Rail's seen much more fighting in bygone times. Near on 50 years ago, first shots fired in the Ura-Celandian War. It was right here that Zolf's Ura forefathers decided to mix it up. Okay, so maybe we didn't get their sign-off on the whole Grand Rail thing. That was bad. The rail must have shook the Ura to the bone down in those dens of theirs. Well, the rail won't last much longer now that the kid took the shard. It's still got one good run in store for him. All the rotten wood there on the rails turned it into swamp weed central. Ever tried dancing side to side while holding your breath? While choking on swamp weed? Peckers trying to prick you in the eye? Well, let me tell you, it ain't fun. He'll be picking swamp weed out of those boots for days. Turns out he's got company up at the rail station, waiting for him. Not just another wallflower or pincushion, mind you. At first, he thinks it's Zolf. This is for you, says the man. Then wham. When the kid comes to, the man's long gone, but something else is there. The only words Kid recognizes on that parchment are for Zia. Well, what's a kid to do? He took the shard, he took the hit, and he took that note. That note cuts straight to the heart of things, don't it? It ain't too late to unlock the potential of this place. Finding gourmet ingredients ain't easy these days, but we'll take what we can get. The note says it plain. Zia, go east to learn the truth about the calamity and our people. I'll be waiting. Sincerely, Zolf. Zolf's messenger was one of his people. Wonder just how many of them survived, and what exactly Zolf told him. The memorial may be finished, but our part is far from over. Gotta make sure the pointy end's fastened on real tight. Kid arrives just in time to sample Zia's famous cooking. He wolfs down too much too fast, and it all goes to his head. I've said a lot about the kid, but he ain't the only one wrapped up in all this. What's he thinking? Well, let me see if I got this straight. I only heard it once. Once there was a normal Ura girl, but she wasn't born in the Tassel terminals like the rest of her people. She was from Ceylondia. Her folks were orphaned in the war, taken in and raised inside the city, on condition they would never return to the terminals. Refugees who came into the city had to stay for life. It was a way to reduce the risk of city secrets leaking out. away from birthing complications, leaving the girl trapped inside that city with no one but her father. Her father was sharper than a brusher's pike, so he got a job working for the city's mancers. His daughter barely saw him. Her father told her nothing of her Ura heritage. He told her nothing of the Mansers. It's for your own good, he said. She took to studying the arts, learned more through music than history books, gained a knack for strings and songs. At first, she tried to be like other girls, but her classmates spread word that her father was an Ura trader, selling out the city. One young man stood up for her, or so he led her to believe. He knew much of her heritage, and she grew fond of him. The young man convinced her to take him to a family den to meet her father. Spoke of how he wanted to meet a man from the terminals. When the young man greeted her father in the Ura's native language, her father flew into a fit of rage and threw them out. The young man never told her that the Ura's native language is not to be used by foreigners. To do so is a terrible insult. It was then that she decided to escape. The two of them could flee the city together and go to the Tassel terminals. They would hide inside a garbage bin until it got ingested by a scumbag, then let him slosh on out of the city for disposal. Her plan almost succeeded, but the authorities were already there when that scumbag sidled up to the city walls. The young man had sent the authorities a tip. Told him her father was using her to sell secrets to the Tazzle terminals. She and her father were arrested for treason, but her father got a deal. Returned to work for the Mansers, and she'd go free. Before they parted ways for the last time, her father whispered a desperate plea. Hurry home to the den and lock yourself in. She did as she was told, and deep down underground inside that den, she found a journal written in her father's hand. The next day, the door to the den turned to ash. The girl came up for air, and she saw the calamity all around her. When the kid wakes up, his world's still in pieces, just the way he left it. The shards are getting harder to find. Not everything blew up in the calamity. Why, Colford Cauldron here blew up way ahead of its time. The cauldron boiled over some 300 years ago. They say it filled the skies with ash and the lakes with molten rock. Best to keep out of the cauldron. If you wanted to survive something like that, you had to learn to adapt. So in a way, the beasts of the wilds, they're all survivors too. It takes a certain stubborn pride to keep on living in a place like this. As for us, we learned an awful lot from Colford Cauldron. That learning led to some interesting inventions. The raw power of the world fell right into our hands. sure we dusted off a good many secrets out here. But we discovered other things we're better off not knowing. Taste the air so hot it sticks to your lungs. All sorts of awful things crawling underfoot. Never thought we'd find so much life in all that ash. We kept on sifting through the cauldron's secrets anyway. The place is inhospitable as they come. But still, we pressed on. After all, when we looked down inside Culford Cauldron, looked down through all the smoke and flames, we saw in there the heart of the world, the heart now laid bare by the calamity. We had to have it. As for the kid, he just has to get that shard out of there. Too bad taking that thing woke up every last stink eye from here to Jawson Bog. Kid's thinking he's got to trek all the way back around the cauldron. Luckily, the cauldron cooked up a little shortcut for him. Sure, it ain't the most convenient path. Biggest stink eye he's ever seen's waiting for him on the other side. Well, it ain't polite to stare. And where there's one stink eye, there's always more. The cauldron's tenants all gather up to bid the kid a fond farewell. With a good spyglass, you can still see the cauldron from the city. But all the fires died out. There's nothing left of it. It comes back looking like the inside of a chimney. Want to keep the wilds at bay? Pack yourself a musket and a pike. The shard works like a charm. You can hear the monument's heartbeat again. We're all a little short on friends these days, so that's a welcome sight. They said the wild could never be tamed. If only they could see us now. A culture. A still life of old unwanted keepsakes. When you've got a solid balance, you've got what you need. Just the occasion to crack open the distillery's private reserve. Graver gimlet tastes different the longer you swish it around. Miraculous stuff. We spotted a pecker carrying a shard to Mount Zan. Can't rightly call Mount Zan the mountain anymore. There's no more mountains now. There's no place left for the beasts of the wild to go. So they figure they'll hold out right here, on a slab of mountain the Calamity forgot. Good thing for those beasts the Calamity saved leftovers. Those beasts been hoarding all the valuables they could find. We only found their little lair because they found themselves a little shard. Creatures of the wild, they've been building a bastion of their own. They even drag their children into this. Without a doubt, the situation stinks. Best thing we can do for those beasts right now is put them down quick and clean. There's only one kind of mercy left these days. What the city left behind, those beasts took for themselves. Look at it this way. It's either them or us. But if we win, they win too. Our Bastion is everybody's game, not just ours. Unfortunately, there's no explaining that to a simple beast. Those beasts been hard at work fixing up the place. They've rounded up their survivors, just like we have. They've been searching for cores and shards, just like we have. Maybe they've thought about turning back, just like we have. We just really need their shard. You don't need to keep tangling with all those things. That's the way. He's done what's best for him, don't you worry. Don't you worry. We'll all be better off once the Bastion is complete. The monument's getting better. Zolf sure did a number on it, though. The conscience. We haven't lost everything, long as we have that. The arsenal's complete, in case we need protection. Suppose it's true a little song can put things in perspective. Fix that thing right up, didn't we? Made these goings-on a little livelier.
Vamos a dejar acá por esta vez. Ya saben, nuestras redes sociales en la descripción o en las info del canal. Nos vemos.